Hello and welcome to Minus 4 Points, a place where we talk all things FPL, we follow my fantasy football journey, and occasionally we have to take minus 4 points hits for extra transfers. This week is a good week, I'm hoping. I'm not planning on taking any minus point hits this week, so this is a good week in my eyes. We've just had the international break, which has obviously ruined the tempo of FPL. It feels like months since the last week, which was pretty dreadful all around for most people. This week, we've had the international break. We've had time to think about transfers. A lot of people have been doing wildcards. An international break is always a good time to do a wildcard, so I can see why people are doing that. I've already played mine. Regretfully, I've been looking on at envy, especially on Twitter with everyone sharing their wildcard teams. But I thought this week I'd talk about the differentials players. So I'm going to be looking at players who, if you're on a wildcard, you might want to be thinking of one or two differentials just to give you an edge over some people. And I've got some differentials, and then we'll be looking at my team for the coming game week 8. So these are the differential players that I think maybe some people should be thinking about. These are the 5 differentials that I've picked. Some of these players do kind of represent other players from that team, so I'll go into that in a bit more detail when I talk about the players. All of these 5 players that I have picked are all under 5% overall ownership. So you have one of these players and they do well, it's going to give you a big edge in your overall rank, in your mini leagues. It's going to give you an edge over players who don't have these players. So they're all under 5% ownership, every single one of these players. The first one is Huang. Now, if I wasn't doing the transfer that I've done this week, Huang would be my transfer, I think. I think at that price, and Wolves seem to have finally got going. They took a while this season, but it seems like they're finding a bit of rhythm. They're finding some goals. I just don't know fully yet if it's because they had slightly easier fixtures that they scored last week, or if they are clicking, if the new manager's starting to click, if Huang and Jimenez is a formation and a partnership that's going to work. But at 5.6, Huang is such an amazing price, an amazing option. You could start him, and for the next few fixtures, Wolves have good fixtures. He could be a good asset. And even if he's on your bench, he could almost be that cheap striker if you want to have 2 strikers. Huang could just be the bench player because he's that cheap. So I think Huang, Jimenez, if you want a slightly more safe pick, but Jimenez is in a lot more teams. If you want the differential, if you want to take a bit of a risk, Huang is a very good risk, I think, to go for this week. The next one I picked is Gross from Brighton. Now, we all thought Brighton were going to be sort of an okay team defensively, but we don't want their assets. Last season, it feels like they didn't score any goals. But this season, they look a lot better. They've been much higher up the table. They've had a really good start. I think their fixtures are fairly kind still. It's not like they have a really tough set of fixtures coming up. They have a few hard fixtures here and there, but Brighton are a team I think a lot of us have overlooked in the attacking sense. I think we all had a defender Duffy maybe, or the keeper Sanchez, but I think it's time to start thinking about the attacking assets. And Mopé is another one. Mopé is a striker. He's cheap. Gross is cheap, possibly Trossard, but I mean, Gross has got 2 assists in his last 2 games. So he's giving attacking returns in his last 2 games. And at 6, I just think he's a little cheaper than the likes of Rafinha, Benrahma. So if you want to take a risk, if you want to have a differential, a Brighton attacking asset could be a good play. And Gross is a good option. Now, the next 2 options are both Chelsea players. I think with Chelsea's good run of fixtures still, a lot of people have been going hard on the defence. And I think last week with Alonso being dropped for Chilwell could sort of set in stone now Chilwell as the starting left back. I think it's 1 week, possibly too early to fully make that decision for me, so I'm not jumping on Chilwell quite yet. However, Chilwell and Werner both played the last game and both look good. Werner especially, Chelsea have been playing 2 strikers recently and it seems to be working. Lukaku might not be the option that we think if he's playing alongside Werner, and he's giving assists to Werner. If Lukaku's holding up the play and then bringing other people into the game, Werner could benefit massively. And I think the obvious thing with Werner is people have this thing from him last season where he was wasteful with chances and he didn't quite hit the ground running, but he's new in the league. It was a strange season with the COVID and manager changes last season. And I think towards the end of last season, Chelsea fans know Werner was clicking. He was great in the Champions League final. He was great towards the end of the season. And he's starting to play well now for Chelsea. He's looking lively. He's looking ruthless. He's just scored 2 goals for Germany in the international break, which, you know, it's a different team, but it does seem to suggest Werner's getting a little bit more confidence now. And I think even if Werner doesn't score, if he plays, he's usually involved in the build-up. So I think at 8.6, you could take a risk on Werner. And if it doesn't work out in the next few weeks, you could always take him out at that price for one of the strikers slightly lower, like Antonio, Ings, Calvert-Lewin. They're all slightly cheaper, so you make a little bit of money. So with this great run of fixtures for Chelsea, Werner could be an excellent placeholder. Just, you know, they have Norwich in the second week coming up. So Norwich could be an amazing game for Werner. And I think with some of the games, Chelsea could play Lukaku and Werner. Maybe even Lukaku could be rested if they have big Champions League games. So Werner could be an interesting pick, I think. Chilwell as well, if you want to be risky. But I think for now, Rudiger, Azpilicueta are probably the safer picks defensively. But I think keep an eye on Chilwell. He could become, you know, when he plays, he's very attacking. He will be getting Chelsea's clean sheets. It's just about if he can nail down that place. So you could take the risk now on Chilwell and hope he nails down that place. But for me, I'm just holding off. And the other one is Foden. Now, I was torn between putting Foden or De Bruyne because both of them are under 5% owned. They're both they're owned by such few managers, and they're both, if they play, this is the big thing with City, if they play, they're gonna be great. City have 3 nice fixtures in a row now, and I think Foden has looked lively. He started a few games for City recently. You just never know with Pep Roulette. And I think De Bruyne is a more safe pick. I think De Bruyne and Diaz are probably the 2 outfield City players that are kind of nailed on. The rest, I don't think you can really say they're nailed on. I don't even think you can say Cancelo's nailed on. I don't think you can say, you know, any of them are nailed on. It's the goalkeeper, it's De Bruyne, and it's Diaz. When they're fit, they play. So, but De Bruyne's more expensive. So if you want a differential and you've got the money, De Bruyne could be an excellent option. But I think at Foden's price, it might be worth taking the risk. Even if he doesn't play, if you've got a good bench and you've got someone who can come in for him, it could be an option. Again, it's too risky, I think, but that's why it's a risky differential. It could pay off for you. Foden could play up front. He could get chipping with assists. He looks lively. And Torres, the news today is Torres is injured. The news today is Jesus might take a while coming back from Brazil duty. He might not play. So chances are Foden could play. He played well for England. He looks lively. Foden could play. And I think him or De Bruyne are the differentials to go for from City. But you're taking the risk with Pep Roulette. You can't be annoyed if he doesn't play, but it's a good risk, I think, to take. So those are 5 differentials. There are some more. They're the 5 that I picked. None of them are in my team yet because I've done another transfer, a safer transfer, the cover up from last week's horror show. So I'll go on now to talk about my team for game week 8. So as we come off the international break, this will be my team going in for game week 8. Last week I had Christensen and Alonso. They were my 2 Chelsea defenders and neither of them played the last game. So I had to take one of them out. I can't be taking risks anymore with the Chelsea defence. I think Chilwell will be coming in my team in the future once he's more nailed on. Possibly Reece James. But for now, I just think I needed to get Alonso out because I think his value will go down. I did at least make money from Alonso. I got him in before a couple of price jumps. So at least I made money on Alonso. But he'll be dropping, I think, if he doesn't play the weekend. And I just had to get Alonso this week. So I could have gone for a Chelsea defender who I think will play. I did debate taking Alonso out for Rudiger or Azpilicueta, but I just think because Chelsea have Brentford away this week, that's not necessarily a clean sheet. That's could be a tricky game. I've seen Brentford a few times this season, and especially at their stadium, it's really a sort of intimidating atmosphere almost, and they really are attacking. So I didn't want the Chelsea defender for this week. I might get one in for next week, and Man City have a much better fixture this week, and they have 3 good fixtures. So it was always going to be Alonso out this week. That was always going to have to be my one transfer, and Diaz, I think, is the one I want to get in. I've seen a lot of people with Cancelo in their team, and I think he has been the best City defender so far. But a City fan told me recently that Zinchenko is almost back to full fitness. He's training. He's looking like he's going to be coming back. And Zinchenko could take minutes away from Cancelo. I think Cancelo's been playing because Mendy was out of the team. and Zinchenko was injured, so the left back position was basically his. Even Pep couldn't rotate that. But I think when Zinchenko comes back, I just think Cancelo is slightly at risk for minutes, whereas Diaz, he's going to be playing most games. Yes, he's less of an attacking threat, but he's more nailed on 90 minutes, I think. So I'm playing it safe. I did take it too risky last week with Alonso and Christensen. So this week it's a safer transfer with Diaz coming in for Alonso. The rest of the team looks okay to me. The defense, Trent is he might play. They've said that he's fit and that he can be involved at the weekend, but we don't know for certain if Trent's going to play. But I'm hoping he does, because a lot of people took Trent out. His ownership dropped massively. His price went down. I've stuck with Trent, so I'm hoping that pays off, because Watford could be a great game for him, attacking wise, could even keep clean sheet. So Trent, Christensen again as well. He might not play. Rudiger's a fitness doubt for Chelsea, which does give me some confidence that Christensen will play. But if he doesn't, I have Livramento on the bench. I have Allen on the bench. So I feel like if some of these players don't play, I do have two reasonably good players who can come in for them. And Tierney's the other one I'm sticking with. I hope he can deliver. Crystal Palace at home. That should be a good game for him. Midfield, Salah, Gray, Rafinha, Sarr. It's my same midfield as last week. There's another concern with Rafinha. Will he be back in time? I think even if he's not back in time, I'm not going to sell Rafinha. I can't really bring in another midfielder and guarantee that they make up the -4 points hit that I would take. So I think I'm just going to have to take the risk on Rafinha. If he doesn't play, someone like Allen or Livramento will come in for him. Salah will be my captain. There is a lot of talk about early kickoffs and not wanting to have a captain for an early kickoff, because the early kickoff games are never quite as explosive as you'd think. But I just think if anyone's going to undo that rule on current form, surely it's Salah. He's looked pretty ruthless this season. Nothing seems to be stopping him. So I'm going to include an early fixture in that list of things that won't stop him. And I think with Ronaldo and Lukaku, both I have to stick with. I would have liked to have taken Ronaldo out of my team this week. I just don't think the Ronaldo and Lukaku partnership's working. It's too much money in my attack. But I had to take Alonso out this week, and I don't really want to take a hit, especially when Ronaldo at Leicester away, it's not unreasonable to expect him to get a goal. He could easily score at Leicester. Leicester haven't looked solid this season. They do have defensive worries. And Ronaldo didn't play the last week, which just makes me think he'll be more determined to make a point this week, like, never drop me again. I am Cristiano Ronaldo. Who do you think you are, Ole? So I'll stick with Ronaldo and Lukaku this week. Going forward, my sort of plan is to try and take some money out of the strikers, possibly take them both out. But Ronaldo's first, because he's got trickier fixtures after Leicester. So that could be next week, but I'm going to worry about that next week. For now, Ronaldo and Lukaku, they both can't really be captain, because I think Brentford and Leicester are both away games, both slightly tricky. Salah has the easier game. So for me, he's my captain. Let me know if you're picking a different captain to Salah. You're going to be brave if you're doing that, but let me know. I do think, Watford away with a new manager could possibly be really up for it. So Salah might have difficulties, but I just think he's in too good a form for me not to make Salah captain. So that's my captaincy. Let me know if you have a different one on Twitter at -4 points, or in the comments below. The YouTube game people, help me out. Like and subscribe. It makes a massive difference. This is my team going in for game week 8. It's locked in. My transfer's done today. Let me know what you think of my team. Let me know what your team is. Let me know your transfers. And good luck with game week 8, people. It's good to have FPL back. I will see you next week. Farewell.